how's it going? This is me and Ryden here. Well, Ryden, he's doing his thing. But, the reason why I recorded this video is something I'm trying to start doing is, devlogs. So, not intending to make this like a huge production or spend a lot of my valuable time on YouTube videos and editing and stuff, but I did kind of want to get a chance to reach out, talk a little bit about my ideas and my projects, and field questions, and honestly kind of almost use like a journal to where I can record my thoughts, what I was working on, like that kind of thing, concerning my game development and other projects. But this video will be specifically focused on game development, and CryHeart, which is my first-person exploration RPG I've been working on. So I'm about 6 months into development at this point, with the greater part of my time being spent on pipelines, and pipelines, tooling, making sure that my code base is set up properly and that I'm able to scale, is really what it is. I work full-time, so I am a part-time, evening-only game developer. I've got a sysadmin background. A lot of my friends are software developers, and I've worked in a corporate software development environment for a long time. So I have a good idea of, the phases that we need to go through and, how to avoid scope creep for the most part, and, kind of work towards vertical slice, which is currently what I'm working on. Bye, buddy. Yeah, so currently got the tooling in place. I've got my graphics workflow is pretty much set up, working within a combination of Blockbench and Kenny, Asset Forge. By no means am I a 3D artist, and the thing that every indie developer comes across is the fact that like you can't master everything. There's not enough hours in the day, and if I want to release this project anytime this decade, I can't master everything. I can't spend a lifetime learning every single skill out there, right? I have to know what I'm good at, and find ways to work around my weaknesses, and red topology and 3D rendering, vertices, all that stuff, super hard. Can't figure it out. It's very, very difficult. Spent weeks trying to get that process solved. Kind of decided that the most efficient way I could solve the problem is going with like a rigid body approach, to where I can use Blockbench to use folders as bones and I can animate that way. I've got a good concept of animation, so hopefully I can make a relatively polished product that way. In terms of coding and features, features are pretty much set in stone at this point. I know everything that I'm planning on putting in the game. I've kind of cut myself off from adding anything else. In terms of like the movement, so at this point, I've chosen to work with Godot. I've got the movement code is in. A lot of the slow, deliberate movement is complete, as well as like edge grabbing, some little quality of life improvements that I wanted to add. Because really, I guess to go back to like what CryHeart is, I had this idea of, I grew up in the, the 90s, like, Dreamcast, PlayStation RPGs were like really like the core of like the games I loved beyond like, Super Nintendo and Nintendo that I got from my brothers. But I really wanted to create like instead of like just the PlayStation X, like everybody's making like these retro games, I really wanted to target something more specifically Dreamcast. Like I wanted to aim towards like Skies of Arcadia, like those kind of like bright Sega graphics. But I also wanted to see if I could marry it to a Kingsfield pre-Demon Souls style of gameplay to where it's slower, methodical, more of a thinking man's exploration game. That's kind of the core of the game, is that it's a first person RPG. You explore, you go through these massive environments, and you're looking for secrets, treasures, that kind of thing. The whole goal of it is to use Jolt to make it tactile. So like you can grab objects, you can, and not grab objects in the way that like you can fling physical objects all around. It's not really that level of interactivity. It's more of being able to manipulate certain objects in the environment to discover secrets, do puzzles, that kind of thing. It's a little bit more involved in the environment as opposed to just fighting monsters, leveling up, that kind of thing, which, I'll have those things as well. But that's kind of the core pillar of the gameplay, is how to execute that. The story is just about completely written, at least in terms of the storyboard. I know the major story beats, so now I just have to fill in the rest, which, to be honest, my creative style. I really enjoy, like, kind of coming up with it as I go. It's the way I, forever DM. It's the way I create. So, yeah, so that's kind of like where I'm at on the project. Working towards a vertical slice currently. I'm a musician. I play a bit of piano, and I'm a synthwave artist. I do a lot of producing, that kind of thing. So synthwave is one of those things that, while I really love synthwave, I love the 80s. I love the nostalgia, and I'm a huge nostalgia nerd. But synthwave, making synthwave is a lot of making the same over and over again. So I really got into making orchestral pieces, soundtracks, really just for the love of the game, making it for my friends, for D&D, that kind of thing, right? So that's kind of the approach I'm taking towards the music. I kind of wanted to really lean into like Dreamcast, like sound fonts, and try to find ways to like kind of marry that to like some acoustic style VSTs and things like that. And I've had some success. Like I've got a good amount of tracks written, to where I figured out the way I want to do environmental uh, background music versus like boss encounters and that kind of thing, which is pretty fun to do. And I'll talk more about that like once I'm a little closer to that point to putting him in the game. But yeah, outside of that, I really work within Bitwig, is my platform I use for music creation. Really big fan of things like Captain Keys. Wingman is awesome, especially for really quickly ideating. Like I said, it falls back to the same thing. If you're just creating a music album, then you have all the time in the world to spend on just that. But because game design requires you to master 10 different disciplines, you can't be precious about every single detail, otherwise you'll be here all day. So yeah, Wingman, those kind of tools are awesome for accelerating your music production, get you MIDIs, and help you with like, chord progressions, especially some of you guys that like maybe don't have like a musical background. And myself, like, I'm not a natural musician. Some friends I have that are musicians, they pick up an instrument and they can just go at it, right? I have to fight to make what I make. So but yeah, I would say like, Native Instruments has a ton of great stuff. Spitfire Labs also has really great like tactile, interesting instruments that you can use to make orchestral pieces. Huge Chrono Cross and Chrono Trigger fan, so those kind of like synth, PSX, PS2, Dreamcast sound fonts mixed with acoustics is kind of the musical direction, the sound direction. So yeah, so kind of working on that, and now I've pretty much got a module created that's called the Temple of Testing, and that's kind of where I'm going to be spending probably the next month or two, is getting the graphics models in game. Modeling is super difficult, like I said. I'm kind of trying to dance around ret topology and getting just mired in UV layers and and quads and stuff. So I'm really, it's super, super huge time sink for me. And I don't have any help. So um, I think once I get the tempo of testing up and running, I want to get my models in game where I can get the basic animations in and stuff like that, and then start working on post-processing effects. Um, Really, the entire goal of the next few months is get the modules up and running to where I can easily plug in whatever modules I need to, whatever audio buses I need for sound effects. And, because one thing I was talking to my friend about is I found really impressive is if anyone's ever played New World, one thing that the audio team, and those guys are incredibly skilled, um, did that was very amazing was if you fight in the woods, it has a very, very convincing reverberation effect on sound effects when you fight, wolves and crap in the woods. And I thought that that was very impressive, and I really love. I think that sound design, music, and present is a huge part of the presentation, and I think that it also gives the um, gamer, the player, uh, a nice tactile change when you go into a cave and you hear reverberations off the stone, or if you can hear it, muffled by water, or that kind of thing. I really wanted to bring that in. I'm trying to design audio buses that will automatically, as you change scenes, it'll change the environment gradually, that kind of thing. So, anyways, I could talk about this all day, which, we're already up to 11 minutes, but I'll try to move it along here. But yeah, like I said, this is mainly just an open conversation with other indie artists. You know, if you guys have any questions about my pipeline, my tools that I've chosen, like if you have any questions about like, some of the stuff I've solved, how I'm going about things, absolutely happy to talk about it. You know, went through a bunch of different solutions before I've kind of landed on some programs that I feel like are pretty solid and reliable, that I can use them over and over again and produce what I need to. But yeah, so I'll go ahead and start wrapping this up, but I'm hoping that hopefully by devlog 2, which who knows when I'll record that, hopefully sooner than later. If you guys really like this kind of content, then obviously post in the comments. I'll be happy to like make another one, answer some questions. Um, but yeah, I think after starting Red Bat Studios, which is the studio I'm going to be making things under, didn't really feel comfortable making the games under like New Emotion or anything like that. That's really another project, or like Shadowrun Interlocked, which is like it's a free conversion mod that I'm working on for Shadowrun. About 8 months into that, pretty much wrapping up the core rulebook, which is really what I want to release first, so that people can beta test it and stuff. Love the Shadowrun community, love Catalyst Labs, amazing people. So, but my big plan is to kind of get things wrapped up, get something out there to share, which hopefully I can sooner than later get the tempo of testing up, get maybe some people that are interested in trying my modules and stuff and trying my movement engine, and kind of see what I'm working on. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment, and I'll be happy to let you know what's up. So if anything, if you stuck with me this far, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.